We have had that confirmation from the Israeli Defense Minister, Israel Katz, that he had authorized the IDF to start moving in and seizing territory inside southern Lebanon as Israel ratchets up its campaign against claimed Hezbollah targets in the south of that country as well as in the Lebanese capital, Beirut, particularly the area around Dahir, the southern suburb stronghold of Hezbollah in Beirut. We do need to stress that Israel has been holding some positions within Lebanese territory for some time now, ever since it signed that ceasefire deal with Hezbollah back in November 2024. And it has been attacking Hezbollah targets, claimed Hezbollah targets, over and over again, almost daily during that almost 18 months since we saw that. But what we have seen in the last couple of days in terms of those strikes has certainly intensified, and now this escalation once more, sending more troops into southern Lebanon, is of grave concern. I think we need to be wary of viewing this in the future as being entirely connected with Iran. Certainly some of the speculation or the analysis that is circulating in the Israeli media is that, yes, the decision to go into Lebanon and to start attacking Hezbollah now has been in direct response to Hezbollah the other night launching rockets at Israel in solidarity with Iran and to try to enact some revenge for the killing of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the Iranian supreme leader. That happened on Saturday. But in some respects, Israel has been gearing up for a greater conflict in Lebanon as well. And even if those strikes with Iran finish in the next couple of weeks or so, there is no guarantee that Israel would also wind back its operations in Lebanon. But clearly they are connected at the moment, even though they may find themselves on different paths going forward. There has been a big uptick in the number of reservists, IDF reservists, who are being called up for duty. Thousands and thousands of them, more troops and tanks and other vehicles being sent up into the northern parts of Israel as part of this mission. Although we do have an insistence from Israeli authorities that, unlike during the war between Israel and Hezbollah, when hundreds of thousands of people were evacuated from the northern reaches of Israel, that will not be happening this time around. Israel taking a much more forward-leaning stance there. This will be of great concern for the people of Lebanon, who have been targeted over and over again, as I mentioned, during this period by Israel. That's stretching right up into Beirut there, and that is what prompted the Lebanese government to try to distance itself from Hezbollah yesterday, outlawing the organisation's operations, insisting it had to hand over its weapons, even though that may be a pretty big ask given recent experiences in the relations between the two.
Matt, there have been more Israeli strikes into Iran. What's been the response from Tehran?
Well, certainly one of defiance, and we do know that Iran continues to fire retaliatory missile barrages at Israel. In response to that, we had an alert come through just about an hour ago now, or just under an hour ago, which sent people across the central parts of Israel, particularly here in Tel Aviv, into shelters as that barrage was coming through. It doesn't appear that any of those missiles have been able to get through Israel's air defense systems, but it certainly was enough to trigger those warning sirens anyway. But those Israeli and US strikes across Iran have continued with a considerable intensity and tempo, not only this morning, but right through the last couple of days or so. Israel and the US insist that they are targeting the Iranian regime, its weapons stockpiles, its military assets, senior members of its defense establishment. But we have also heard through Iranian state media, which is one of the only sources for information coming out of Iran at this stage, that places such as a hospital have been hit, and as far back as Saturday afternoon local time, a school in the south of the country was also hit. Israel is insisting that those sort of reports need to be taken with not just a grain of salt but a considerable helping of salt, considering how Iran uses propaganda in its war there. But it is certainly worth keeping in mind that that both sides are accusing the other of attacking civilian sites, when it appears that that is an accusation which can be levelled at both Israel and Iran in this instance.
And when we saw that the US embassy in Riyadh hit by 2 drones, how is Washington reacting to this?
Well, it has bolstered the US State Department's warnings to Americans in the Middle East region across a number of countries that they need to leave now, noting, of course, that there is travel chaos in this part of the world with many flights still cancelled, some of them starting to come back online again and some people able to move, but certainly the bulk of those flights still closed, airspace still closed in some places, and airports themselves also not operating at this point. That suspected drone attack, it looks like 2 drones have hit the US Embassy in Riyadh in the diplomatic quarter there. Given the time of day where they hit, it doesn't appear that there's been any injuries and damage has been fairly light. But it has certainly fueled this concern that Iran is expanding its conflict, that it is attacking countries it wouldn't normally seek to attack, and turning this into a much bigger regional conflict. By way of geography, all of the embassies, or if not all, most of the embassies in Riyadh, the Saudi capital, are in the same neighbourhood. It is called the diplomatic quarter, and Australia's mission in Saudi Arabia is only around 200 to 300 metres up the road. That too has been closed as a result of the deteriorating security situation in the region, with people like Penny Wong, the foreign minister, warning that this crisis across the Middle East could be fueling one of the biggest consular demands for the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, as it tries to deal with the tens of thousands of Australians who are currently in this region. Not all of them seeking to be taken out of the Middle East, but certainly some of them would be seeking to leave at the first available opportunity.
Okay, Matthew Doran in Tel Aviv, thanks very much for that update.